Alright, 30 iconic 90s men's fragrances ranked by how great they currently smell. And this is a video I've been planning for some time, and it's happening today. So, find out about 30 iconic 90s men's fragrances right now. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today I'm talking about 90s men's fragrances. Mostly designer, maybe a few niche things here and there, but definitely mostly designers and stuff that I used to see at the department stores, Macy's, Nordstrom's, and wherever else, fragrances were sold. And a lot of these I wore in the 90s and on to the 2000s. So these are fragrances I personally know very well. And also these are current formulations, except for a few that I've had from over 10 years ago. So I don't have their current formulation, but I'm ranking it with the way they smell currently. So this is ranked, as I said, from worst to best. Before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click that subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So since we have 30 fragrances, we're going to get this going right off the bat. Starting with number 30, going to the house of Giorgio Beverly Hills. This is Wings for Men. A cheapie I decided to pick up, but man, it's gotten really, really bad. And in fact, as it gets closer to like 25, fragrances are going to get great, but there will be several that are kind of really sucking right now. And this was one of the ones that's currently sucking. This is an aromatic Fougere fragrance created by Jean-Claude Delville, launched in 1994. Right now, it's a mashup of just aromatics and green notes and woods and citruses. It reminds me of laundry. It's not bad, but to me it's a really, really bad reformulation. So Giorgio Beverly Hills Wings for Men is number 30. At number 29, going to the house of PALOMA, PICASSO, it's MINOTAURE. This one right here, one that I really, really loved. Really, really absolutely loved, but it's kind of gotten really, really bad. Now, not as bad as Wings, but this is pretty weak, watered down notes. This came out in 1992. It's considered an aromatic amber created by Michel Almairac, and it's kind of that fusion of fruits, aldehydes, tonka, vanilla, amber, and some citruses and things like that, but it's gotten so weak that you hardly smell anything after you spray it 20 minutes later. It's just a major, major disappointment. But at one time, this was a phenomenal fragrance that I absolutely loved. Anyway, Paloma Picasso MINOTAURE at number 29. At number 28, going to the house of Antonio PUIG, this is AQUA QUORUM. Launched in 1994, created by Alberto Morillas. It's considered an aromatic Fougere. Actually, it's Alberto Morillas along with Harry Fremont and Rosendo Mateu, who actually has his own brand now. This is an aromatic Fougere, kind of maybe going lightly into aquatic direction, especially it's called AQUA QUORUM, but it doesn't really go into like marine. It's just an aquatic kind of watery experience, but it's gotten really, really sharp and metallic with the notes. There's lavender, freesia, grapefruit, geranium thing happening here, but unfortunately it's not as good as it once was. You can get away with it. It's an inexpensive buy, but just be warned. At number 28, Antonio PUIG AQUA QUORUM. At number 27, one I wore very, very happily in 1990 and 91. Going to the house of Calvin Klein, it's Eternity for Men. Boy, it's changed so much. I just wanted to buy this one because it was one of those fragrances that I absolutely loved in 1990. Just really, really loved it. But it's now just a kind of a similar to the Antonio PUIG in that it's an aromatic Fougere once again, but it's just gotten kind of metallic, sharp, citrus water, kind of aromatics kind of a thing. But at one time it was such an amazing fragrance, created by Carlos Benaim in 1990, and unfortunately it fits perfectly at number 27. So this is Calvin Klein Eternity for Men at number 27. At number 26, going to the house of Laura Biagiotti, it's Roma UOMO from 1992, created by Annick Menardo. This is an amber woody fragrance. It still smells nice, but it's gotten so weak. It's extremely, extremely weak here, but whatever smell I'm getting, it's quite pleasant. You know, it's amber woody, so there's ambery touches, resins, and some citruses, along with some bitter greens and some green aromatics. So it's a shame these all have gotten really, really weak, I guess because at one time fragrances were not having to abide by the IFRA reformula, you know, the rules and regulations. So now, since they do, they just kind of gotten not so pleasant. Still, as a smell, I think it's nice. It reminds me of kind of like a pistachio orange blossom ice cream. But anyway, it's Laura Biagiotti Roma Uomo at number 26. This next one's from the house of Versace. This is one of 2 fragrances in this video that I bought around 10 years ago when I was first starting my first YouTube channel on fragrances. This is Versace Blue Jeans. It's at number 25. So I'm putting this here because it's not it doesn't smell weak like some of the other ones. Maybe because it's when I bought it in like not 19, but 2012 is when I bought this. So at that time, I think it's still pretty intense as a fragrance, but it's just kind of a little mashy, like things are kind of too connected together, and it's overly sweet, like fizzy soda kind of a thing. Created by Jean-Pierre Berthoud, I think how you say it. It was launched in 1994. It's considered an aromatic fougere, but I would call this more like a amber fougere because it's got lots of ambery touches, but it's warm, spicy, sweet, kind of vanillic with all the aromatics. It's not a bad fragrance. I don't think this smells as good as it once did. So it has gotten some reformulations, but not weakened. Just kind of the notes together don't come off as great as they once did. It's more like I said, soda, like a flat soda that's been sitting, and then you know you automatically smell it, or you can taste how flat it's gone when you do end up tasting it. So Versace Blue Jeans at number 25. Let me know if you're a fan of that one. Moving on to number 24, going to the house of Calvin Klein once again. This is CK1. This is the only unisex fragrance in the list. A lot of men wore this one, and then a lot of women wore it as well. I wore it, my sister wore it, so it was kind of unique that way. This one actually smells pleasant. I think it smells much better with its current formulation compared to CK or Calvin Klein's Eternity for Men, but it is really, really extremely weak. It's just extremely gotten weakened. Citrus Aromatic in 1994 is when it launched, created by Alberto Morillas with Harry Fremont, and it's, you know, lemons, green notes, aromatics, spices, and some light woods. So that's Calvin Klein CK1 at number 24. And the next one, another one that I really loved in the early to mid 90s, it's going to the house of Tommy Hilfiger. It's Tommy Boy from 1995. This is created by Alberto Morillas and also Annie Buzantian. This has gotten extremely weak once again, but I think as a smell, it's fairly decent. It's just gotten extremely light and it's watered down kind of a thing. In the background, you can kind of get a hint of what it used to be, but where I remember smelling it, it was a lot more oomphier, beefier. This is just watered down. But the combination of notes are kind of cool here. It's crisp apple, mint, citruses, and things like that. And there's some aromatics in there as well, and some unique notes like cranberry, rose, and cotton flower. So Tommy Hilfiger, Tommy Boy from 1995 at number 23. So this next one at 22, we're in 22 here in the year of 22. This is number 22, and this is from the house of Emmanuel Ungaro. This is Ungaro Pour l'Homme 2. I bought my bottle around 2012, and at that time it smelled really, really great. This launched in 1993, and it's created by Jacques Polge along with Francois de Mache. And the notes are really nice. It's kind of a citrus aromatic, but less citrus, as I think it's got some spices and herbs, and there's that vodka note and that lavender, rose, geranium, and coriander. They're very, very beautiful kind of a composition with woods and patchouli in the base as well. I think it's still pretty solid, but I think there's some issues with the the whatever reformulations that have been put in here, so it's a little off, but that's why I put it at number 22, because I think it still smells pretty decent in comparison to what came before this. So this is Emmanuel Ungaro. It's Ungaro pour l'Homme 3. Definitely great. If anybody has bought that fragrance recently, how does it smell to you guys? Moving on to the House of Armani, this is Acqua di Gio from 1996. I'm putting it at number 21. This is probably one of the most popular men's fragrances out there still. They just created an eau de parfum version of it. They removed the Profumo version of it. So I haven't got my nose on the eau de parfum. We'll see how it is. But I wore this in 1997. This launched in 1996, created by Alberto Morillas, Annick Menardo, and Christian Dussolier. It's lime, lemons, marine notes, musk, jasmine, peach, freesia. It's just a kind of a very pleasant, fresh, invigorating, kind of a citrusy marine aquatic fragrance. So it's gotten a lot weaker though, I should say, much weaker than it used to be, and I felt like the Profumo version to me smelled a lot more like the original version of this Acqua di Gio when I wore it in 1997. So why are they removing Profumo? Hopefully the Profumo or the new eau de parfum is going to replace the Profumo. We shall see. So Armani Acqua di Gio is at number 21. Moving on to number 20, going to the house of Estee Lauder, it's Pleasures for Men from 1997. So it came out a year after Armani's Acqua di Gio. And I like this one that it's got this kind of fruity peachiness, but it's got these aromatic notes as well. It's considered an aromatic spicy fragrance created by Carlos Benaim, Jean-Claude Delville, and Pierre Wargnai. And it features nectarine, watery notes, grapefruit, lavender, green notes, pepper, oak moss, rose. So it's a great combination of notes. It's spicy, it's fruity, it's aromatic, and woody at the same time. So I think it's still pretty solid. I think it's gotten weak, but as a fragrance, I think it still smells pretty decent, especially since this is a fragrance from the late 90s, and as a smell, it's kind of, I would say, closer to the 2000s. So Pleasures for Men from the house of Estee Lauder at number 20. Oh boy, this is one of my most loved fragrances in the late 90s onto the 2000s because it came out in 1999, and I feel like this is one of the happiest fragrances. Did that give you a clue? This is Clinique Happy for Men, and I quite enjoy this one. And I think it still smells pretty close to the original, but I could sense that it's gotten some kind of weakening or tampering with kind of the formula. It doesn't smell as good as it used to be. It's not as zingy, it's not as invigorating and sharp with the fruitiness in the background. It just seems a little flat, but unfortunately this is what we can have. So it's launched in 1999. It's considered a citrus aromatic fragrance. I don't know who the perfumer is. I wasn't able to find it, but it's got notes of mandarin orange, lime, marine notes, lemons, green notes, freesia, jasmine, and cypress. Really still very happy fragrance. It's kind of like a sunshine in a bottle. I know it's not going to last a long time, but these you can get at discounters for fairly inexpensively as well, so you can kind of replenish over and over again. A great scent, I think, still, but definitely deserves the number 19 spot. So it's Clinique Happy for Men at number 19. This next one's going to the house of Dolce & Gabbana. So I recently picked this one up because I wore it in 1996 and I was obsessed with this fragrance. And even though I felt like it gotten changed and gotten weakened, I'm still putting it at number 18 because I tested it out ever since I announced that I bought this one. This is going to the house of Dolce & Gabbana. This is Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, this one right here. Originally launched in 1994. I wore it in 1996, 97, 98. And I felt like it was an intense beast mode kind of an experience. I used to wear this to film school, and I knew people were like, not offended, but they were kind of like trying to stay away from me because I had this like piled on Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme on me. So this is the 2012 version. Yes, there's changes in it. It's considered an aromatic fougere created by Max Gavari. Features lavender, tobacco, lemon, black pepper, tonka beans, cinnamon, coriander. So I feel like there used to be a much more of an ambery experience along with the kind of aromatic fougere kind of a experience. Now it's more of an aromatic fougere, much less any kind of an ambery experience here. So the potency of the amber, woody, vanillic, sweet base of this particular fragrance is gone, and it's kind of been left with something that's more just aromatic and spicy, aromatic and woody, and aromatic and fougere-like. So Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme is at number 18. This was a complete surprise. I'm surprised how great it is, and I bought it for like 14 bucks. This is from the house of Fred Heyman, 273 Rodeo Drive. And from 1990. Couldn't find a perfumer for this one, but it still smells so good. And you can get this for probably around 15 bucks, as I said. It's considered an aromatic fougere. Not a lot of notes are mentioned for this one, and I feel like it's a leathery dry down of an aromatic fougere fragrance. The leathery dry down kind of reminds me of something like, it's Chanel's Antaeus. So it's got that kind of like a fake leathery kind of smell to it. I'm assuming originally they used to use like the real Castoreum to create the real leathery smell. It does smell synthetic now. It smells a little rubbery as well. I'm not sure if I'm kind of like seeing this thing and it's reminding me of rubber or not, but there is that for it. But when I spray it on, the aromatic fougere touches is quite nice. I really like that about it. But it's oak moss, lavender, musk, cedar, amber, and bergamot. But there's definitely that leathery touch here that I quite like. I think it's still a really great smelling fragrance. I bought this last year, and I think it's still pretty solid with last year's formulation. So Fred Heyman 273 Rodeo Drive is at number 17. At number 16, going to the house of Azzaro, this is Chrome from 1996. This one is created by Gerard Henry. I think that's how you say his name, or Harry. I think it's Gerard Henry. So this is considered a citrus aromatic, and to me it's a very metallic experience. I think the name Chrome is perfect, and I think it does remind me of something like Chanel's Platinum Egoiste, because that one is also metallic, and I think it's all these aromatic notes with citruses that are kind of creating this kind of metallic touch, which obviously Chrome makes sense to call this for this particular fragrance. I think it still smells pretty decent today. It reminds me of the original fragrance, but definitely it's gotten watered down, it's gotten weak, weakened and things like that. But all the aromatics and citruses together and some woods going to create the Azzaro Chrome. And Azzaro Chrome has had like hundreds, I shouldn't say hundreds, but it feels like hundreds of flankers, and they're still going with it. Either way, Azzaro Chrome at number 16. And speaking of Mugler, it's Amen. Amen's at number 15. Yeah, it's gotten major weakened. It's like extremely weak, but when I get past the weakness, it does remind me of that original Amen or Angel Men when I first started wearing it in 1997, because I was so obsessed with smelling Angel on women. I wanted something like that, of that patchouli kind of gourmand combo. So this launched in 1996. As I said, I wore it in 1997. It's considered an amber woody fragrance, and it's the Jacques Huclier created fragrance, and he created a lot of the different flankers as well. It's got caramel, coffee, patchouli, vanilla, honey, milk, tonka, benzoin, lavender, and just a great combination of notes. Very intense when it first came out, very long lasting. It would be on you for 2 days straight. That stuff was stuff that you couldn't wash off. Very potent, very thick, dense fragrance. Now it's weak, but it reminds me of the late 90s when I was wearing this stuff and it was just smelling great on me. So Mugler's Amen at number 15. This next one's going to the house of Aramis. This is Havana from 1994. And this fragrance to me is a great tobacco fragrance. Launched in 1994, and it's considered an amber spicy fragrance. And Nathalie Feistauer and Xavier Renard created this particular fragrance. And it features tobacco, patchouli, oak moss, cinnamon fir, mandarin orange. It's a very spicy tobacco-ish, masculine offering that kind of reminds me of late 80s, early 90s kind of, fragrances for men, whereas they were slowly starting to get sweet, or they were slowly starting to get aquatic or marine, but this one kind of like pays tribute to some of their other fragrances, because Aramis had some great fragrances in their catalog for men. But anyway, Aramis Havana is at number 14. And speaking of Chanel's Platinum Egoiste, here we have Chanel's Platinum Egoiste. As I said, the closer we get to number 1, the smells are going to be like very, very kept great. I'm not talking about the formulations as in like how dense and long lasting they are as far as performance and things like that go. I'm talking mostly about smell, and these smells have pretty much been kept to their almost original form, and that's what this video is all about. But Chanel Platinum Egoiste launched in 1993. It came out 3 years after Egoiste, created by Jacques Polge. It's an aromatic woody fragrance. I was going to say aromatic spicy, aromatic woody, and there's not much citruses here, and this one definitely has that metallic kind of experience for sure. The aromatics in here, and there's lots of it, create kind of like a screechy kind of a metallic kind of a wearing experience. There's a sharpness about it, but it's got a who's who of, you know, aromatics along with citrus floral notes and citrus leaves and petitgrain and things like that. So it's still a pretty darn good fragrance, but definitely I can experience the weakening. It's much lighter than it used to be, but as a smell I think it still smells fairly decent. So Chanel Platinum Egoiste at number 13. At number 12, going to the house of Versace once again. This is the Dreamer, and the Dreamer launched in 1996 and relaunched in 2010 or somewhere around 2010 as a new version of that fragrance. And they don't credit the same notes for both fragrances, but it's known for tobacco. It's considered an aromatic fougere or an amber fougere because there's warm notes here. And this is created by Jean-Pierre Berthoirt. I think that's how you say it. Jean-Pierre Berthoirt, who also created this Blue Jeans as well. I guess he was probably working for Versace fragrances, but either way, this is very aromatic and spicy, and also kind of has the barbershop-y experience with tobacco. But there's, you know, aromatic notes in addition to the tobacco. But according to the notes, the original in 1996 has tobacco. The new version has tobacco blossom. So I don't know what it is. I still get the tobacco in here. It's definitely much weaker and thinner. But as a smell, I think it still smells great. So number 12, Versace Dreamer. You can get that for fairly inexpensively as well, which I kind of like for a kind of like a fairly easy wear tobacco aromatic or amber fougere experience. Next up at number 11, going to the house of Dior, it's D'une pour Homme, this one right here. So this one came out in 1997, and this one is also created by Jean-Pierre Berthoirt, who's been creating the fragrances for Versace, but this is also created along with Olivier Cresp. This is considered a woody green fragrance. That's what I would call this. It's also aromatic and spicy, and of course the fig leaves and the fig fruit are what this one's known about. It's got a kind of a sandy experience, and I quite like this one. Yes, it's gotten different, you know, changed around. It's gotten a little weakened and things like that, but I think as a smell, it's still fairly decent, and I like the way it smells. I got that kind of like sandy vibe in the background, like a beachy kind of sand, along with the fruitiness of the figs and the green kind of leafy notes of the fig tree. A great smelling fragrance. I think it's one that's kind of underrated from the Dior house, and they took it away and they brought it back. It's on the USA Dior website too, so which is kind of cool. So Dior D'une pour Homme from 1997 is at number 11. Next, going to the house of Chanel once again. This is Allure Homme from was this 1997 or 1999? I think it was 1999. I think somewhere around there. But this one to me is considered an amber woody fragrance, and it was created by Jacques Polge once again. And it's kind of that combination of vanilla, tonka, lemons, fruits, and aromatics, and also woods, kind of a combination. I quite like this one. And they've gotten multiple flankers of this one as well. But the original, I think it's still pretty solid. It smells great, just smells like it's gotten weaker, you know? It's just not as dense as it used to be at one time. But, you know, I've been waiting for a new fragrance from Chanel for men. They're taking their damn time to create something new because they don't crank out a lot of fragrances. But I do give credit to Chanel or some brands like Chanel that keep fragrances, because I've got no Gucci on this list. No Gucci Envy. I don't have it because it's been discontinued. All of these fragrances are not discontinued, or you can still readily get. That's what that's why I'm doing this particular video. So either way, Chanel Allure Homme. Check that out if you don't know it. It's at number 10. The next fragrance at number 9 is going to the house of Khitan. It's Khitan Men. This is from 1996. I would call this a woody floral musk. It's a very violet forward. I think it's also a bit ozonic in the background, and it's got the notes of of violet, pineapple, musk, lily of the valley, bergamot, sage, lemon, cedar, oak moss. If you like violets and fragrances, if you like powdery fragrances, you know, with a little bit of that floral violet vibe, you definitely got to try this one. There's definitely a little leathery undertone as well, and I think because of that, they made a flanker that went into the leather direction as well. But this is still pretty solid. It's not like a beastly fragrance, but very, very classy for a gentlemanly kind of experience. So, Khitan Men from 1996. I don't know who the perfumer is for that one, so I couldn't tell you. But that one is at number 9. So at number 8, going to the house of Jean-Paul Gaultier. This is La Malle, this one right here. This launched in 1995. It's considered an amber fougere fragrance. And of course, it's created by Francis Kurkdjian. I think they still kept this in pretty good condition. It still reminds me of the original fragrance. Yes, it's gotten weaker and weaker, and there's a little bit of a change with the smell, but I think it's fairly decent and still reminds me of the original classic from the mid-90s. It's vanilla, tonka, cinnamon, lavender, mint, orange blossom. You know, it's just a really, really great fragrance. I think it's got legs. It's still around. People still, you know, enjoy this kind of a fragrance because it's kind of like a timeless kind of a smell that a lot of men discover and wear. So Jean-Paul Gaultier La Malle from 1995 is number 8. And I am going to feature this one. This is a cheapie you can get in my bottle. This is the third and final bottle that I have in this video that I purchased like 10 years ago in around 2012. This is Animal from the house of Animal. No perfumer is credited for this one. This came out 2 years after Mugler's Angel for women and 2 years before Mugler's Amen for men, Angel Men. And it's kind of in that same similar ballpark, but this smells really, really great. It's fruity, it's boozy, it's honeyed, it's patchouli, and just a great smelling fragrance. If any of you have bought this current like within the last couple of years, let me know if your bottle still smells great or if your fragrance still smells great. For me, when I bought this in around 2012, it still smells really, really great here. So Animal from the house of Animal for men is at number 7. This next one at number 6, I wore it on 1998, 1999, but it launched in 1998 from the house of Hugo Boss. It's Boss bottled, this one right here. And you know what? I think they've done a great job keeping this smelling like the original, because when I smell it right now, it totally takes me back of the day I discovered this fragrance on a woman in a restaurant, you know? It's that kind of reminder, and it's left a major impression on me and a reminder of how I discovered this particular fragrance. Eating in a San Francisco restaurant, a woman traveling from Germany wearing Boss bottled. And yes, it's a men's fragrance, but I think women can totally pull this one off because it's a woody, spicy, amber, spicy kind of a fragrance from 1998, and it's created by Annick Menardo along with Christian Dussolier. Green apple, vanilla, cinnamon, plums, sandalwood, cedar, vetiver, lemons, bergamot. Very, very delicious fragrance. I think it still smells wonderful today. I love it. I love the apple, cinnamon, vanilla kind of a combo. Very, very warm and spicy. So Boss bottled at number 6. At number 5, going to the house of Chanel once again, it's Egoist. And Egoist, man, is still really, really great. It's a kind of that woody, spicy experience with that sandalwood, rose, the ambrette that's in here. A wonderful combination of notes and a creation. This is actually a redo of a fragrance that they launched a year or two prior. I think it was called Bois Noir, and they redid it as Egoist in 1990. Jacques Polge is a person that created this particular fragrance, and I think it still smells great today. It's classy, it's woody, it's a bit floral, and definitely musky, and I think they've kept the smell pretty decently here as far as smelling like the original. The depth is not there, of course. As I said, these are all kind of watered down. They're such older fragrances, and that's why I mean, they're weakened is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, Chanel Egoist at number 5. At number 4, going to the house of Kenzo. This is Kenzo Jungle Homme. Yes, this is here. And this is just really, really great fragrance. It's also very, very inexpensive. It kind of reminds me of Cartier's Declaration, but It's a little different, but a wonderful offering, and they've kept the smell quite decently. It smells really, really great. Very, very classy. Launched in 1998, created by Olivier Cresp. It's considered a woody, spicy fragrance featuring nutmeg, gaiac wood, cedar, ambrette, mate, lime. So it's got muskiness, it's got woodiness, and definitely lots of spice. So Kenzo Jungle Homme, I recently spoke about it as an underrated, underhyped fragrances for men. You can go catch that video. But the next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is from the house of Cartier. We've got two Cartier back to back. This is Pacha de Cartier at number 3 from 1992, created by Jacques Cavalier. It's a woody aromatic, woody spicy fragrance. Wonderful smell. It's very, very sexy to me. Lots of patchouli and lots of oak moss in this one, and I think they still kept the smell of this one really, really fine now. They've launched of course the amber version, or the parfum version of this one, which goes into the amber kind of warm direction, but this version I think it's really, really solid with oak moss, lavender, patchouli, mint, coriander, caraway, anise, rosewood, labdanum. Top-notch release. This is Cartier. Pacha de Cartier, smells amazing to this day, and that's at number 3. The next one is also Cartier. This is Declaration from 1998, created by Jean-Claude Elena. This is considered a woody, spicy fragrance, and it features the bitter orange note with cardamom, pepper, ginger, vetiver, tea, cedar, leather, caraway, birch. Lots of great notes in this one. It's very, very woody and it's spicy. It does remind me of the Kenzo Jungle Homme, kind of in that same ballpark. They're a little different, but Declaration I think is class all the way, and that's why it deserves the number 2 spot. So Cartier Declaration at number 2, and can you guess my number 1? Is it a shock? This is from the house of Guerlain. This is Heritage. This is amazing. Amazing the way it smells, and I absolutely love it. It's woody, spicy, a little kind of amber fougere direction. Launched in 1992 and created by Jean-Paul Guerlain. Sandalwood, patchouli, lavender, amber, aldehydes, juniper berries. So it definitely has the barbershop-y experience. I would call this more of a woody, spicy, but it's got that warmth in it. It's kind of got the aromatics in there that takes me into like an amber fougere direction. But they've kept this one really, really pleasant. I absolutely love it. It wears great. It's classy. There's a little bit of that sweetness in there from the ambery vanillic touches, but loads of aromatics and spices and woods. Absolutely amazing. That's why it deserves the number 1 spot. Anyway guys, those are all the fragrances. 30 fragrances from the 1990s ranked by how great they smell. And my number 1 smells amazing. Anyway guys, let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Are you a fan of 90s fragrances, or do you prefer the more modern ones? Let me know, put some comments down. And do you own any of these? Which ones do you own, and which ones do you still wear over and over again? And do you agree with me some of these do not smell as good as they once did? Put some comments down. I'd like to find out. Either way guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. I know it was longer than normal. Let me know if you want me to cover other decades. I probably will not be able to do 30, perhaps 20 or 10, but let me know which decades you want me to cover. I'd like to dig into some women's fragrances as well. Maybe I can do a woman's top 10 for the 90s. Either way, I appreciate you tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.